Mastering your emotions, the Stoic path to inner peace. Have you ever allowed a single moment of anger to completely derail your entire day? One careless remark, one disrespectful comment, and suddenly your emotions take control. Your carefully planned schedule crumbles, and you find yourself saying things you immediately wish you could take back. Why do we feel so powerless when emotions surge? And more importantly, how can we reclaim that power when it matters most? The ancient Stoics understood something profound. Your mind is your true battlefield. Not other people, not circumstances. Your own thoughts and reactions determine whether you win or lose. They discovered that true power doesn't come from shouting louder or reacting more aggressively. Real strength lies in choosing not to react at all. In maintaining calm when everything around you descends into chaos. In refusing to surrender your peace to anyone who doesn't deserve it. This guide will transform how you handle anger and frustration. Not by suppressing your feelings, but by fundamentally rewiring how you respond to triggers. You'll discover practical, proven Stoic techniques that have been tested through centuries of human experience. These methods will help you pause before reacting, detach from what doesn't serve you, and master your emotions like a true warrior of the mind. Remember, struggling with anger doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Every person faces the heat of emotional turmoil and the sting of disrespect. But few ever learn to rise above it. That's where you'll change. You weren't born angry. Infants don't scream at traffic jams or slam doors in frustration. They don't replay conversations obsessively or hold grudges. Those reactions feel automatic now, but they were carefully learned over years of experience. Through stress, pride, and a society that often tells us we need to be tough, aggressive, and dominant, we've picked up destructive emotional patterns. We've been conditioned to believe that loud reactions equal strength. But here's the truth: genuine strength is silent. The most powerful person in any room isn't the one who yells the loudest. It's the one who remains composed when everyone else loses control. Anger isn't just an emotion. It's a deeply ingrained habit. Like any habit, it can be broken. But first, you must recognize it for what it is: a chain reaction that only continues because you feed it. Consider a typical scenario. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your boss speaks to you dismissively. Your partner makes a sharp comment. Before your conscious mind can catch up, your mouth fires back. That's the cycle. Most people remain trapped in it their entire lives, convinced it's simply who they are. The Stoics saw this differently. They didn't view anger as a personality trait. They recognized it as a weakness in disguise. As Epictetus observed, any person capable of anger is a slave to it. That's harsh, but it's accurate. When you react blindly, you hand your power to whatever triggered you. You become predictable, easily manipulated, and emotionally drained. Picture yourself waiting in a long line at a government office. You've already been waiting an hour. Someone casually steps in front of you, completely unapologetic. You feel the familiar surge: tight chest, clenched jaw, the overwhelming urge to lash out. That moment is your battlefield. You can fight the same losing war you've always fought, or you can pause and ask yourself one simple question: will getting angry make this better? You already know the answer. You've been down this road before. What did losing your temper ever bring you? Nothing but more stress, more regret, and more distance from the person you're trying to become. This is where Stoicism transforms everything. You don't need to suppress your feelings. You need to step outside them. Observe them like clouds passing through the sky. Acknowledge their presence, but don't let them drive. Your rational mind is the driver. That's the power the Stoics cultivated through disciplined practice. Many people go through life believing their anger is justified. They think it proves they care. They believe staying calm means they're weak or indifferent. But it's exactly the opposite. Anyone can explode. That's easy. What requires genuine discipline, maturity, and backbone is maintaining composure when everything around you is trying to shake you. When someone disrespects you and you refuse to give them the satisfaction of seeing you react, that's real dominance. When life throws chaos at you and you remain steady, that's true control. So what do you do next time you feel that fire rising in your chest? You pause. You breathe. You remind yourself, this anger is a habit. I don't need to wear it anymore. Then you walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you've grown too strong to waste your energy on things that don't deserve it. You're not here to be triggered. You're here to reclaim your power. That begins not with the world changing, but with you responding differently. Respond like someone who owns their mind. Respond like a Stoic. It's easy to explode. It's easy to raise your voice, throw a cutting remark, or storm out of a room. That's what most people do when they feel disrespected. They lash out to regain some sense of power. But that kind of power is counterfeit. It burns hot, fades quickly, and always leaves you feeling weaker than before. Real control doesn't come from dominating someone else. It comes from mastering yourself in the heat of the moment. Anger deceives you. It whispers that if you don't react, you're weak. That if someone pushes you, you need to push back harder. That silence is surrender. But think carefully. How many times has getting angry actually solved anything? You yell, and the other person yells louder. You prove your point, but damage the relationship. You win the argument, but lose sleep over what you said. And in the end, you feel drained because you were never truly in control. You were just reacting. Imagine this situation. You're in a team meeting at work. Your supervisor criticizes your proposal in front of everyone. Unfairly, even arrogantly. You feel the familiar heat rising. Every instinct wants to defend yourself, shut him down, prove your worth. But something stops you. A quiet voice inside says, if I respond now, I'll only make this worse. So you pause. You breathe. You simply say, thank you for the feedback. I'll revisit it. And you move on. Later, in private, you speak with clarity rather than emotion. That's control. That's genuine strength. That's Stoic wisdom in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics didn't believe in letting pride dictate their actions. They believed in thoughtful response over blind reaction, clarity over chaos. They understood what many still don't. Trying to control other people is a losing game. What you can control, and always could, is how you choose to show up. The mistake most people make is believing that silence means weakness. That walking away makes you look less capable. But think about the last time someone lost control in front of you. Did you respect them more, or did they lose power in your eyes? Rage is loud, but respect is quiet. When you stay calm in the face of provocation, you become untouchable. That unnerves people far more than shouting ever could. The Stoic path doesn't mean you never speak up. It means, you choose how and when you speak, on your terms, not your angers. When you learn to delay your reaction, to let the emotion pass before you act, you create space. And in that space, you find wisdom. Next time someone disrespects you, don't take the bait. Let them act small. You stay solid. Not because you're afraid to respond, but because you're choosing not to fall into their storm. You rise above it, not for them, but for yourself. That's what control really looks like. It's not about having the last word. It's about having the last piece of yourself. So start today. Don't try to control the room. Control your breath. Control your words. Control your energy. You'll walk out of every conflict with something most people never find, your dignity intact. And that's a victory no one can take from you. You can't expect to remain calm in chaos if you've never practiced calm in silence. That's the part most people miss. They wait until they're angry, disrespected, or overwhelmed, and only then try to control themselves. But emotional strength doesn't appear on command. It's trained. It's earned. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching. Just like your body won't grow stronger without consistent training, your mind won't suddenly hold steady under pressure unless you've been working on it daily. Self-mastery isn't a switch you flip. It's a skill you forge over time. Think about someone who's never exercised walking into a gym and trying to lift heavy weights. They'd get crushed. The same applies to your emotions. If you never train yourself to pause, to breathe, to sit with discomfort instead of reacting, then the first time life hits you hard, you'll fold. Not because you're weak, but because you're untrained. Consider this scenario. You're home after a long day. Your child spills juice on your laptop. Your instinct fires, you want to yell. But something clicks. You've been working on this. Instead of reacting, you pause. You breathe. You say, let's clean it up together. That moment feels small, but it's not. That's a representative. That's strength in action. And that representative will serve you in far bigger storms. Stoicism isn't a philosophy designed for monks on mountains. It was created for real life. For soldiers, leaders, workers, parents, people surrounded by stress, noise, and conflict, it teaches that peace isn't found in isolation. It's found by training your mind to stay still in the middle of the storm. And that training starts with the little things: waking up early to reflect, journaling your thoughts before bed, choosing silence over sarcasm when someone frustrates you. These aren't empty rituals. They're workouts for the soul. The mistake most people make is waiting for the fire to prove they can stay cool. But that's not how it works. You prepare in advance. You build rituals that strengthen your focus, deepen your breathing, and sharpen your awareness. Because when pressure hits, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote every day, reflecting on what triggered him, what tested him, and how he could respond better tomorrow. Not because he was weak, but because he wanted to grow stronger. Epictetus, who was once enslaved, taught that discipline begins not in grand gestures, but in the daily control of thought and emotion. They practiced calm as a habit, not a reaction. So if you want to stop being the person who always loses control when things go wrong, start being the person who prepares before they do. Sit with your discomfort instead of reaching for distraction. Notice your breath when you're tempted to speak. Reflect at the end of the day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. These aren't small acts. They're your emotional weightlifting. No one is born a Stoic. No one wakes up with perfect self-control. But the person who commits, who repeats, who trains, becomes untouchable. You build that calm like you build anything else, with effort, with practice, with time. So don't wait for the world to test you. Test yourself, every day. Because the person who trains their mind in stillness wins when the noise comes. You had your whole day planned. Wake up early, exercise, knock out your tasks, feel on top of everything. Then the traffic hits. Someone cancels a meeting last minute. Your boss piles more work on your plate without warning. Now your plan is wrecked, and frustration builds fast. That tightness in your chest, that heat in your throat, it's not from the events themselves. It's from your resistance to them. You're not angry because things changed. You're angry because you thought they wouldn't. But the world doesn't care about your schedule. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it changes course. And the longer you cling to how you wanted things to go, the more you suffer. That's not weakness. That's attachment. And attachment left unchecked becomes a trap. A person who needs everything to go right to stay calm will never know peace. Letting go isn't giving up. It's recognizing what's not worth holding. It's learning to tell the difference between what's in your hands and what's slipping through your fingers, no matter how tightly you grip. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't waste energy on traffic, rude people, or changing plans. They saved that energy for what they could actually shape: their character, their mindset, their response. So when something throws off your day, don't immediately react. Step back. Ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, don't fuel it with your attention. Let it pass like bad weather. You're not ignoring it. You're choosing not to drown in it. That's not denial. That's discipline. The common mistake most people make is believing that control means forcing things to fit. But real control is about adaptation. Power isn't making the world obey. It's staying calm when it doesn't. That's why Stoicism isn't passive. It's precise. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop wasting care on what can't be changed. And that shift frees up your strength for what truly matters. Picture this. You're in a parking lot. A stranger backs into your car, leaves a dent, then shrugs like it's no big deal. You want to erupt. You want justice. But after that first wave of emotion, you pause. You ask yourself, will raging at him fix the dent? Will it make him care more? No. So you handle the paperwork calmly. You protect your energy. You drive away, not just with a damaged bumper, but with your dignity intact. That's the move. That's the win. Not because you let him off easy, but because you didn't let him take anything more than metal. He doesn't get your peace, your night, your health. You kept those because you let go of what wasn't worth keeping. Stoic strength doesn't shout. It doesn't cling. It releases. And in that release, there's real control. So start asking yourself more often, is this mine to hold? If it's not, let it go. Because the person who knows what to carry and what to drop doesn't get angry at every storm. They walk through it calm, clear, and unshaken. And that person, no matter the chaos, remains in control. You can't avoid conflict. Not if you're alive, working, dealing with people, or building something real. Someone will challenge you, misunderstand you, talk down to you, or push your limits. That's just life. But the way most people approach conflict is reactive. They see it as a threat to their pride. A moment to win or prove something. So they tense up, raise their voice, and try to dominate. But in doing so, they miss what conflict really is. It's not a threat to your power. It's a mirror of it. Conflict reveals where you still lose control. Where your ego still takes the lead. Where you're still a slave to other people's opinions. This is exactly why the Stoics treated every confrontation, every insult, every unfair moment, not as a problem, but as practice. They believed life constantly gives you opportunities to strengthen your mind by refusing to be pulled down by the noise. Imagine you're standing at the counter of a busy store. You've been waiting patiently while the clerk helps someone else. Then another customer jumps ahead, waves a receipt, and demands to be served first. They raise their voice. Everyone turns. And there you are, heart racing, jaw tight, ready to explode. But you don't. Instead, you step back internally. You ask yourself, what's actually at risk here? My time, my ego, or my peace? And right there, you choose not to roll over, but to rise above. That's not weakness. That's power with precision. The mistake many people make is thinking calm equals surrender. That not reacting means letting people walk over you. But letting your emotions hijack you is what really gives your power away. The Stoic doesn't avoid confrontation. They just don't let it control them. They speak when needed, but not with fire. They speak with clarity. Because they know the only thing worse than being disrespected is lowering yourself to match that disrespect. The more you see every challenge as a test, not of who's right, but of who's in control, the more unshakable you become. Conflict turns from a battlefield into a gym. You stop wasting energy on petty arguments. You stop letting small people shrink your world. And instead, you use each moment to grow your strength. That's how Marcus Aurelius lived. He ruled an empire, faced betrayal, war, and politics, yet chose stillness. He didn't chase revenge. He chased integrity. Because he understood that every interaction is a chance to practice self-mastery. Not once in a while, but every day. And those who take that approach don't just survive conflict. They walk through it unchanged, untouchable. So the next time someone pushes your buttons, try this. Instead of snapping back, say nothing. Instead of proving a point, protect your energy. Instead of letting their chaos become yours, become the calm they can't reach. Not to look good, not to be liked, but because you've trained yourself to rise above what isn't worth your fall. You're not here to react to every insult. You're here to sharpen your edge. And every moment of conflict is a chance to do exactly that. Respond with control. That's how you win. And every time you do, you prove something far greater than dominance. You prove you've mastered the hardest battlefield of all, yourself. It's rarely the moment itself that makes you angry. It's your mind racing 10 steps ahead or spiraling 10 steps behind. You're not mad about what someone said. You're mad about what you think they meant, what might happen next, what it says about you, what you should have said back. That noise in your head is where most of your suffering comes from. Until you learn to stop living in the past or the future, you'll keep losing control in the only moment that matters, now. This happens constantly but often goes unnoticed. You get cut off in traffic. That's 3 seconds of inconvenience. But in your head, you replay it for the next 30 minutes. You imagine confronting the person, yelling, showing them who's boss. You carry that weight into your next call, your next meeting, even your dinner table. The moment is long gone, but your mind drags it like a chain. That's how small things become heavy burdens. Because you never learn to let them go at the moment they happened. Stoicism cuts through this mental clutter like a blade. It says, you only ever have now. And now there is no insult, no imagined outcome, no history to fix. There is only breath, action, choice. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to snap back to the present every time his thoughts wandered. He reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not tomorrow. Not after you win the argument. Right now. The common trap is believing your thoughts are facts. Just because you're thinking something doesn't mean it's true. But most of what you react to isn't real. It's imagined. The Stoics understood that an untamed mind is the root of unnecessary pain. Your imagination, if left unchecked, will build enemies that don't exist and arguments that never happened. Try this instead. You're walking into a conversation with someone you don't like. You're already bracing for conflict, expecting disrespect. That tension isn't from anything they said. It's from the future you've already created in your head. Stop. Come back. Be in the moment. Maybe they will say something rude. Maybe they won't. Either way, you'll handle it better from a grounded mind than a racing one. This is why mindfulness isn't just spiritual fluff. It's a tactical advantage. It keeps your head clear when your instincts want chaos. You don't need to sit cross-legged for an hour to get it. You just have to notice your breath, your posture, the sounds around you, the feeling of your feet on the ground. Every time your mind wants to spin stories, you bring it back. You train it, like a muscle, to stay here. And when you do, you stop overreacting to things that aren't even happening. You stop reliving what you can't fix. You stop rehearsing what you don't need to say. You start responding, not from anxiety, not from fear, but from presence. That's where your calm lives. That's where your power lives. You don't control what has already happened. You don't control what hasn't happened yet. But you do control now. And if you can own now, even just for a few breaths, you're not just practicing stoicism. You're living free. And that's the kind of strength no one can take from you. Resentment doesn't just poison your mind. It wears your body down. You've seen it in others, the person who looks tired even when they're rested. Who walks heavy even when they carry nothing. Who flinches at kindness because they're used to betrayal. That weight isn't physical, it's emotional. And the longer you hold on to anger, blame, and bitterness, the more it eats away at your energy, your clarity, your ability to feel light again. Most people don't even notice it happening. They think they've moved on just because they're silent. But silence isn't healing. And just because you don't talk about it doesn't mean it isn't shaping how you speak, how you trust, how you live. That grudge you're holding from 5 years ago is still on your shoulders now. It's in your sleep. It's in how fast you snap when someone barely crosses a line. That's exactly why the Stoics viewed forgiveness not as some moral obligation, but as self-preservation. Letting go isn't about making peace with what was done to you. It's about refusing to let it keep owning you. Because every ounce of resentment you hold robs you of peace in the present. And no one deserves that kind of power over your life. Not even the person who wronged you. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus can get the better of my will." That's what forgiveness is. Not approval, not forgetting, but refusing to be shackled from the inside. Think of a moment when someone crossed the line. Maybe they lied, left, or embarrassed you in front of others. You told yourself you'd never forget. And maybe you didn't. But every time you think of them, your stomach tightens. Your energy drops. Your peace leaves. That's not strength. That's self-inflicted punishment. You're reliving what they did long after they've forgotten it. That's the trap. Thinking that holding on protects you when in fact, it weakens you. The Stoic doesn't hold anger like armor. They release it like fire in their hands. Because they know it burns the one who carries it most. Forgiveness doesn't mean trusting them again. It means reclaiming space in your heart for something better. Something lighter. And it starts with one choice. Stop feeding the story of what they did. Every time you replay the offense, you reinforce the wound. So stop rehearsing pain. Start protecting your energy. You're in the break room. Someone throws a slick comment. You know it's a jab. You could clap back. You could carry it home. Let it replay in your mind till midnight. Or you could smile. Not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying trash that isn't yours. You breathe. You walk out. You leave the weight behind. That's not passivity. That's power under control. That's knowing what's worth your energy and what isn't. And when you start dropping resentment, you'll feel it. In your posture. In your sleep. In how clear your thoughts become. Forgiveness isn't a favor to them. It's a gift you give to yourself. Let it go. Not for their sake, but so you can stop dragging your past into your present. You've got more life ahead than behind. Make space for it. Because the person who travels light moves faster, breathes deeper, and lives free. And you can be that person if you're ready to put the weight down. It happens faster than you think. One sentence, one tone, one offhand remark, and you're already halfway to raising your voice or slamming the door. By the time you realize you're angry, your reaction has already taken over. That's how most people live. On autopilot. Pushed by outside triggers, pulled by inner tension. And in that split second between the spark and the fire, they give away their power. But what if that split second was the place you took it back? Stoicism begins in the pause. The space between what happens and what you do next. That's the battlefield, not the argument, not the insult. The real fight is in that breath. That tiny delay where you choose, do I react like I always do? Or do I respond like the person I'm trying to become? Most don't even see that space. Their emotions outrun their awareness. But once you start recognizing it, you realize how much control you actually have and how often you've been throwing it away. Consider this situation. You're at home. Your teenage child speaks to you disrespectfully. That tone, that look in their eyes, it stings. You're about to snap, but something holds you. You take one breath. Then you say, I'm going to respond in a minute. That move right there is power. Not silence out of fear, but restraint with purpose. You've just interrupted a cycle that's played out for years in millions of households. And now you're writing a new one. The mistake is believing that if you don't react fast, you'll lose respect. That hesitation means weakness. But what you gain in those 2 seconds is clarity. You give your brain time to process, to decide, to aim. That's what the Stoics trained for. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of timing. Marcus Aurelius didn't say don't feel. He said don't act unless it serves the greater good. And that good often starts with silence. We live in a world that rewards fast reactions. Text back now. Respond now. Defend yourself. Instantly. But emotional discipline isn't about speed. It's about accuracy. Saying the right thing at the right time with the right tone. And you can't do that if you let adrenaline do the talking. You need to stop, to breathe, to name what you're feeling before it becomes something you regret. It doesn't take years of meditation. It takes one choice. When the pressure hits, you pause. You tell yourself, I don't need to react yet. You walk to the other room. You take 10 deep breaths. You ask, what's the outcome I want here? And then, only then, you speak. You move. You act. Not from ego. From intention. The Stoic person isn't cold. They're clear. They're not slow. They're steady. They don't repress what they feel. They command it. Because in that pause, they see more. They see the consequences. They see the opportunity. And they step into both with a steady hand. So from this point forward, treat every moment of tension as your training ground. When your heart starts to race, when your face heats up, when your fists want to clench, don't move. Not yet. Let the moment settle. Then decide how to own it. Because the person who masters the pause doesn't just win the argument. They win themselves. And that is a victory worth choosing again and again. Now you know the truth. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are not bound to anger, resentment, or the need to react. What the Stoics taught, what great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived, is that calm is not given. It's earned. Self-control is not about denial. It's about discipline. And peace isn't weakness. It's power, sharpened in silence. We've explored how anger is a habit that can be unlearned. How real strength comes from mastering yourself. How emotional calm is built like a muscle through small daily choices. You've seen that letting go is not surrender, but wisdom. That staying present is the best defense against stress. And that in every moment of tension you have a window, a pause, where your character is forged. This isn't theory. This is your life. It's in the way you respond to your partner. How you hold your ground in meetings. How you walk away from noise and stand firm in your values. Each moment is a chance to practice. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. This is how you stop being triggered by everything and start becoming untouchable. So begin with today. Train your breath, hold your words, master your pause, and build a mind that cannot be shaken by what it cannot control. The Stoic path isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. It's about developing the awareness to recognize your feelings without being controlled by them. It's about building the strength to choose your response rather than being a slave to your impulses. Every day presents countless opportunities to practice. The person who cuts you off in traffic. The colleague who takes credit for your work. The family member who pushes your buttons. Each of these moments is a gift. They're not obstacles to your peace. They're exercises that strengthen it. When you view challenges this way, everything changes. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a student of life. Every difficult person becomes a teacher. Every frustrating situation becomes a lesson. Every moment of temptation to react becomes a chance to grow. Start small. Pick one area where you struggle most with anger or frustration. Maybe it's traffic. Maybe it's a particular person at work. Maybe it's when things don't go according to plan. Commit to practicing in that area. When the trigger comes, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself what really matters in this moment. Then respond from that place of clarity. Keep a simple journal. At the end of each day, reflect on what triggered you and how you responded. What worked? What could you do better? This isn't about judgment. It's about learning. It's about building awareness so that next time, the pause comes more naturally. Over time, you'll notice a shift. Situations that used to send you into a spiral will barely register. People who used to push your buttons will lose their power over you. You'll find yourself responding with calm when you used to react with fire. This is the life the Stoics promised. Not a life without challenges, but a life where challenges don't break you. Not a life without emotion, but a life where emotions serve you rather than enslave you. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of inner peace that nothing can disturb. Imagine handling conflicts with grace and clarity. Imagine being the calm in the storm for the people around you. Imagine looking back at moments that used to derail you and realizing they have no power over you anymore. That's the life waiting for you. Not because the world will change, but because you will. The Stoic path isn't easy. It requires consistent effort and honest self-reflection. But the reward is immeasurable: freedom from the tyranny of your own emotions. Freedom to live with purpose and peace. Freedom to become the person you truly want to be. You've been given the tools. The wisdom is ancient, but the application is timeless. The Stoics showed us that we don't have to be victims of our circumstances or prisoners of our emotions. We can be masters of our minds. Start today, not tomorrow, not when things get easier. Now, because the person you'll become through this practice is someone who can handle anything life throws at you. Someone who remains calm when others panic. Someone who stays centered when the world spins. That person is already within you, waiting to emerge. All you have to do is practice. Day by day, breath by breath, choice by choice, you have the power to change your life. Not by changing the world around you, but by changing how you respond to it. That's the Stoic secret, and now it's yours. If this message resonated with you, reflect on your own experiences. What moments have tested you recently? What have you learned from holding back your reactions? By sharing your journey, you help others on theirs. Because in the end, the person who can master themselves, their thoughts, their reactions, their energy, owns their life. And that is the kind of strength that endures. The path forward is clear. The tools are in your hands. All that remains is the choice to walk it. Walk it with courage. Walk it with discipline. Walk it with the knowledge that every step brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. This is your life, your choices, your legacy. Make them count.